or living on the land of Canada, and I've been studying syntaxing and correct sentence structure for, well, it's just coming up on the 10-year mark. And so it was a hard learning curve to get through, because for me, it took about 3 years to catch on to how to syntax. And a lot of that was because, well, we didn't have anybody that knew how to syntax to teach us, and we were just working our way along in the dark. And we some of us, I know myself, were getting our our parsing that we did in school mixed up with this, and it has nothing to do with it. You have to throw away the what you've learned in school and start fresh. And really, when you get down to learning this, or down to making some headway, it's very methodical, this. And but you do get a sense of satisfaction by demonstrating conclusively that what is on paper does not say anything. It's more like poetry, what our everyday language, certainly in English. And English, I'm afraid, is really a language that has been made up by the attorneys, and or at least they've taken the language, and like there's legalese and regular English, and the people think a word means one thing, and they use it as a completely different it's completely different meaning in legalese. And we could just take, for example, the word understand. When somebody asks us, "Oh, do you understand what I'm saying?" And if it's a judge or a policeman or something, you never want to say, "Yes, I understand," because you are stating that you stand under them. And really, when you think about it and think about what you're saying, it's obvious that's what it is, but we use it in entirely different contexts, some of the words. So we have to be very, very careful. And I think the whole language has been built for this double meaning. But it really, syntaxing does, it stops an attorney from attacking you, and certainly the authorities that do understand it, it really in some cases frightens them because they know that you have power and they can't get around that. And so it's quite it is powerful, and you don't know it until you start using it for some time. But I've been interrogated for 5.5 hours over it, and I had to get through this because it would have meant if I didn't succeed at this, I would have lost my job. And what it was is I sent a contract claim to the minister in charge, the federal minister in charge of Canada Revenue Agency, And there was a little bit of that. She sent it back to me with a fraud fiction letter. My evidence and it started off with my live life claim at the bottom, the evidence, and then the quantum claim, contract claim on top, with the conditions and penalties stated. And she just sent that back a couple of weeks later with a fiction letter saying this doesn't have any authority, blah, 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 blah. And I syntaxed her letter, marked it as evidence, and put it in my package and sent it back again. And they went silent, or she went silent. And this time, I believe what happened, she ran it past her legal team, and they informed her just where she was at. And with other people in the Red Thumb Club have done this, and a number of them have had people resign immediately after receipt of this claim, without explanation. And the media they're all befuddled because they don't know why these ministers have just up and quit, and some of them are fairly high profile. And nothing ever gets out because they don't want anybody to know that there could be this. We don't have any hard evidence that it was, but these resignations came within about 3 to 5 days of them receiving these packages of documents. And we about a year ago, we just sort of did a rough tally, and we had sent about 7 ministers these packages, and over the several years, and there had been about, I think it was 4 or 5 resignations, immediate resignations, and the rest of these ministers at the next election did not run for re-election. So, like, this makes powerful people very, they take notice of this. At any rate, they didn't have anything on me from this submission of this document, and so they couldn't really come and confront me directly on it. But it was about a year and a half, 2 years later, my airport security pass came up for renewal, and I, filled out the application, sent it off, and it usually takes about 30 days. And it didn't come, and it didn't come, and I went and asked them, it's going to be another 30 days or so. Waited for 30 days, nothing. So I went back again, and they said, well, we've looked it over, and you're going to have to come in and talk to somebody. They didn't really say who it was, but okay. So I got them. They gave me a phone number, and I contacted this individual, and this turned out to be a woman, and she was with CSIS, and that's the Canadian Intelligence Service, which is sort of Canada's CIA or whatever. So anyway, I went into that, and I didn't have really any choice, and I thought, well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to stand on what Russell has taught us, and if I losing my job over it, so be it. That's just the way it is. And so I went in there, and going into the well, they called it an interview, but it was an interrogation. I told her that what I'm going to tell you, you need to know. And so there was really nothing too hard. There was just the hardest part was trying to justify why I had kind of associated with somebody that was kind of very confrontational and belligerent, and it caused them a lot of trouble over the years. And since then I've distanced myself from this individual. But
can I, John, can I ask you a question, please?
Sure, certainly.
Actually, now you're telling us your voyage, or your way of dealing with the life claim, how it began, what happened. Am I correct?
Yes, I was just getting to the syntax part of it. There, this will only take a couple of more minutes to finish off. But
okay.
In this interrogation, she asked me, "Are you, can you syntax?" And I said, "Well, I can syntax a bit and that." And could you syntax something for me? And she started pulling a sheet of paper out of her valise there, and before she got it out of her hand, I says, "Oh, that's in a box. There's nothing on that page," and she just took that paper and just slid it back in, didn't say anything else, and she never touched syntax again. But that, right there, I felt like I decimated her paperwork. Well, I had decimated her paperwork there, and she knew that I could, vacate anything that she brought up, pretty much. So then later on, she asked me, and she had a kind of an air of a little bit of arrogance, and it was kind of a deep breath. "Well, let's get this over and done with. Tell me, do you think that the law doesn't apply to you?" And then that's when I went through step by step through vacating a bit of the Income Tax Act, some of the letters that CRA had sent to me, and I said, I vacated the letter that the minister sent back to me, and I sent it with my life claim on the bottom, then the evidence on top of that, and the quantum contract claim on top, and all bonded together. And I sent that back, and they went silent. And then I said, after 30 days, I didn't, but because this was more like a shot across the bow, trying to get them to correct. But I said I could have sent a letter of first notice of default after 30 days, and then a second notice of default after 60 days, and then a final notice, in completion at 90 days. So it's, like the auctioneer, going once, going twice, sold. And when I finished that, she was visibly shaken and nervous, and she immediately went to another line of questioning. She dropped that like a hot potato. And I don't think she'd ever had that question of, do you think the law does not apply to you? I don't think she'd ever had it answered that way. And I think I believe she was an attorney. I'm quite sure she was, but that just goes to show you how much power this has. And the live life claim, which is on the bottom, it's the foundation of this. It is a document that you have a contract number and your sea lane from the post. You have witnesses that hold live life claims
on 10/23, the day after she died.
Document, and it's in correct sentence structure, and they can't get around that. And it on the back of mine anyway, I have my birth certificate, which is the foundational document for all their fraudulent, all caps names that they use for us, and they trick us into believing that is us. It is not us. The birth certificate does not have any description of the body. It's just they've converted the name and are saying that it is you, and we fall into the trap, and many people live their whole lives believing that they are that entity on the birth certificate, and that is they commit legally. They put you to death at your birth on paper for the legal world, but that's it there for that, but
okay. John, we have many questions.
Okay,
yes, we would like to know, first of all, I would like to make a little announcement, because I don't have a Zoom count professional. I think in like 10 minutes is going to be to tell me that my 40 minutes has passed and we're going to have to reconnect again.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so I will be sending to everybody. This is just an announcement so everybody will know. But the first question maybe we would like to ask you is I wouldn't say the validity, because we have researched so much in this matter of Rassel, David. We saw the video. We were looking at. We are in the group in YouTube. Some of us has already did their life claim. I'm not going to say who. It's not important. Last week we did the command letter to the FCC. So we know more or less many things, but there are still many questions. For example, one of the questions that was asked is why Donald Trump and his administration, why they don't recognize Rassel yet? In your opinion, of course.
My opinion is they are firmly entrenched in the fiction, and I think that it's going to be earth-shattering for the general population to grasp what Rassel has done. That is to the people really. I try to explain to some people, and they get very well. I'm telling them that Trump, and he doesn't have a military, he doesn't have a post office, he doesn't have a banking system, and they're out of the third bankruptcy, and they are not relevant, and yet it's just a lie keeping going. And people, I've had one friend, she gets, yeah, but we gotta have it, and it's such a leap for people to make that transition. Now, I don't know what Donald Trump is up to. I don't know whether he's good or he's bad. I've heard him being described as the first horseman, and also other ways, if he's playing as a strategy, he's making like he's really bought into the nefarious, satanic culture. He has to play as if he's part of that in order for the enemy to make some errors. And I don't know, haven't been able to watch this video, but I heard yesterday that there was a video out describing that they had put on the official ballots, they put a watermark and had GPS tracking technology embedded into all the ballots. And so they would be able to tell which ballots were, if the Democrats had made up ballots themselves, forged ballots, and put them out there, they could identify them. And the good ballots, they could tell whether they had been tossed out or were being, stashed away somewhere, because they can track them with GPS, apparently. So I don't know whether he's having to play into, this vaccine to do all this, but in the end, the only way we can judge him, I think, is by his actions now.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Okay. Just to let you know that we are very, very informed. We have some member of this equipe, of this group, that are very deep down in the Q movement. So we get all the hot news every day. So we know everything that is going on with the Q team and with the fraud. Just to go back about my idea that why doesn't Trump go public with this is because maybe he knows that a lot of people won't be handling the difficulties in going on to learning again the syntax and the grammar. Comprehending this is, like I told you when I left you a message, is more likely that it's very, 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 you have to completely erase your brain in order to acknowledge, in order to understand, to comprehend this new system, because it's completely different.
It is.
Yes. We are going to be in 10 more minutes we have, and then I will do as soon as we get disconnected, I'm going to send another one. So we have 10 more minutes. It's okay. So this is my idea.
Yeah.
Can you? Yes. Yes. We have many questions. One of the questions, for example, is can you tell us a little bit about the grammar, just briefly how it started for the people that are here that don't know? There's only one guy who doesn't know, because he's just joined us. It's Naftali. We don't see him because most of us know about it. But can you give a brief explanation, because other people that might see this video later will probably ask the question, what is this about this quantic grammar? What is it exactly? What are we talking about?
Well, briefly, what the quantum grammar is getting qualified facts on the paper, where with our syntax of the regular everyday language and grammar, we can prove that there are no facts using the rules of grammar that we get in from the styles manuals. And like to have a noun, we don't use the term noun because it's N-O-U-N, two negatives. It's a no. But you need a positional phrase, or what in conventional grammar in English anyway we call a prepositional phrase. I remember that. That's the only thing I remember from grammar in school, and I for some reason I remembered this all my life. The teacher said, in order to have a noun, we first must have a prepositional phrase in front of it. And I thought, okay, that's that. And I really think it was a little bit of a divine guidance that made me remember that. And because when I heard this in grammar, when we started studying that, I immediately thought, yeah, that's right. That we were told that they teach us something to give us closure on it, but then they never use it, and it's lost, and we go on. But it establishes fact on paper, and it was David Wynne Miller, David Wynne Miller, that came up with, discovered the proper syntax of the language. And he had been fighting, it was a custody case, I think, with his ex-wife. And he went to court, I think, 20, 30 times there. And he couldn't win, no matter how he played it. And so he really he deduced that it was the language somehow, that the judge could rule any way he wanted because the language did not have power. And he went and he gave value to all the parts of speech, and then he looked at it as a mathematical equation there, and he discovered the hole in it, and then he started putting it together in he could see where the holes were in this language and why it didn't work, and then it started, we got results from it. And then Russell came along, and Russell brought the now time. You see, when you're dealing with language, our language has, I did this, or you need to do this. We're talking about the future, and we're talking about the past, and we are always living in the now time. And so the future hasn't happened yet, and the past you can't go back to, but that's where our language is. And Russell bought this quantum grammar and brought it all into the now time. So it is talking about what we are doing at the present, no matter where we are in time. In the future, we pick up that contract and it'll read the same way now as it did 10 years ago. And it's applicable right now in our lives.
And this is what is important actually in the paperwork, in the law. Everything that is written has to be in the now time.
That's correct.
Okay.
And,
can you see the? I put a paper on the ekran. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Because we are going to go we are going to go a little bit about this inside this maybe in the other part of our conversation to explain more or less for the people why is it important to learn the quantic grammar. But I would like to know if other people have questions. חברים, אם יש לכם שאלות, תרימו יד, תעשו לי ככה שאני אוכל להכניס אתכם לשידור, לשאול שאלה. אורי, שאלה, בבקשה. רגע, אני מחפשת פה, איפה אני... אוקיי, קדימה.
Yeah, I want to ask if the quantum grammar is going to be the only language in the world that can be used in contracts? Because we speak Hebrew. We have Chinese, Japanese, Arabs that don't speak English.
Well,
how are they going to use the quantum grammar language?
Well, that's the beauty of quantum grammar. When you run it through, I've been told, like David did, you can run a quantumized document through Google Translate, and you can take it to any language, to another language, and then back to English, its source language, and there has not been any change to it. And so that in itself will ease, make contracts, so much easier for all people. It's just that we have to learn how to think with this. That you need to read it for a while to get proficient at it. But that is the trouble with our present everyday language, is that it is so open to interpretation that
that's the problem.
Yeah, like a treaty, it reads, you read that, and it means one thing to one, person, and
and in Hebrew it's getting worse. That's the problem. We tried to syntax in Hebrew, and we had a bit of trouble to syntax in Hebrew.
Oh yeah, and that's
I'm sorry, John, we just have 1 minute, less than 1 minute left. So if we're going to get cut off, I'm going to do another session to ask you all in